What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a StreetPilots video. What we got in store for you today is our Shorty 240 fenders that are meant to work with either the HD Wheels 240 kit or the RC Components 240 kit. So as you saw on our website, we have two options. The first option is going to be the gel coat. So this is ready to paint. They're going to come black. They're going to be near perfect, but again, this is ready to paint. And then if you want to have us paint an option for you, such as I did for my bike, where it is all black, you provide us with the paint code of the bike and you will have a gloss or a matte, depending, finished paint Shorty Fender. What else comes in the kit? You will be provided with all the necessary hardware to mount the fender and to space out your factory shocks. We are accounting primarily for the factory shocks, Ohlins, Indian piggybacks, but in the cases where you are running a shock, such as me with the R0 Air Ride, which I have tucked out of the way, you may need to have additional washers that may be supplied in your own shock kit, as these ones are very oversized shocks. So how do you install this fender? It's very straightforward. First thing is you're going to jack up your bike and you're going to remove your shocks, whatever shocks you're running, and you're going to install our provided spacers so that they increase your shock on the right hand side's output and let the fender clear. And then what you're going to do is, once the shocks are installed and everything is mounted, you're going to grab one of the fenders that you have purchased, such as this. You're going to walk up to the bike and you're going to set it in to the bottom of the swing arm, like so. You may need to pull the belt out of the way. The fender, as I will show in the B-roll, will slide perfectly into the spacing inside of the swing arms. Next, with our provided spacer, and this is important, we provide a spacer that you should use any single time you install the fender, because it is going to be based on the distance between your tire and your fender. And if you have worn out tires or brand new tires, you might have a different clearance between your fender and your tire. So with our provided jig, you'll slip that into place, align your fender, and then you sit back and ensure that it's eyeballed straight. And also, yes, you can do this while the bike is on an angle as well, but we recommend doing it when it's sitting up straight. You're going to ensure that you have equal clearance visually with the provided jig holding the fender spacing in place. Then, using a trusty Sharpie, you are going to mark off the hole, which I will show here in a second, where to drill your swing arm. Once the hole is marked off, you are now able to remove your fender. With the fender removed out of the way, you now need to drill one single hole into the swing arm, and I will show that again in a minute. The reason we went with the option of one single hole is because we do not trust set screws, because if you put set screws, there is a chance that your fender may slip, and putting external brackets may alter how the fender looks. So we wanted to go for a clean, seamless install with just one single hole drilled. Not to worry, your swing arm is hollow, it's aluminum, it's going to be super easy to drill it. The drill bit size you need is 21/64. Now, if you're not a good driller, work your way up from a small one to a bigger drill bit. Start with the center punch, or you can drill right away with a 21/64, because that is the clearance size for the bolt. Once a hole is marked off, drill it through, and here are my two suggestions. Depending on the kind of drill you use, you may remove both shocks and articulate your bike so you have more clearance between the back end and the tire. Also, you can remove your subframe plate to give yourself some more clearance. Or, in our case, because we do modifications often, all you need is an extension for your drill and your drill bit. Now, I'm not going to bore you with the drilling, but essentially I'm able to drill it all the way from up here. And if the hole is not perfectly centered or perfectly straight, it is not going to change anything. Just make sure that it is going through where you marked it off. After you have drilled through the hole, all you need to do is you set your fender back into place like so, reattach your shocks, put the fender back into its place, reutilize your jig to reset it to where you want it to sit, like so, because depending on your alignment, you might want to pivot a little bit left, pivot it a little bit right there, and drop the bolt right in, secure the screw, and tighten at the bottom. We provided you with a nylock nut so that, remember that the swing arm is hollow. You just go snug and then about a 1/4 inch more to make sure that everything is tight, but you don't need to go with an impact or super crazy, because then you can have a chance of crushing your swing arm. So let's show how this is done. So here we are, and Jim is going to show the step-by-step installation of the fender. So
okay, so we'll put our spacer on the tire, and then we'll drop our fender in here. Make sure we got our gap, and set the fender forward as far as you can. Okay, so we're going to take a StreetPilots bracket with the fender not on it, so it's a lot easier for you to see, to know where you mark your hole for drilling. So you just drop the bracket down inside here, and the fender, or the bracket will fit right in this pocket. So you slide it all the way forward, you'll be able to feel it, and you can see how it locks like right in the side to side. It'll have a little bit of movement, but you want to put it right forward. And then you're going to take your Sharpie and you're going to mark your hole. Obviously the hole's already there because we pre-did this. Then you pull your bracket out, and you'll have a hole. You have a hole there now, but that'll be your Sharpie mark. And then you just take your drill bit and you're going to drill that hole 21/64 through the top cavity. And there's a hollow area in here. It's about 1 inch drop, and then there's a lower part of the swing arm you got to drill through as well. And then when you put your bracket back in, you'll pass your bolt through your bracket through the bottom, put your nut on, and then step back a bit, make sure you're square on the tire and everything's straight. And then you'll take your Sharpie and you'll reach down and mark your hole in the fender, or in the swing arm, sorry. And then you can take your fender off, set it aside. We're using a drill with an extension on it just to make it easier. You can undo your shocks and lift your bike up on a lift, and that'll make your swing arm drop out further, so the angle will be a lot easier. If you don't have an extension, you could be able to get a small drill in there. Then you reach in, drill your hole through the top as straight as you can. You'll feel it hit the second bulkhead at the bottom, and then you'll drill through that as straight as you can, and then you'll just pull your drill back out, and that's all you need to do. That'll give you your hole. And then when you drop your fender back in, that'll line up, and you put your bolt through, and you can tighten your bolt up nice and snug, not too tight because it's a hollow area. You don't want to crush that area, so you can just tighten it up just nice and snug. And then you should be able to move the fender around a little bit if you have to. There's a tiny little bit of movement there just to get it straight on either side of the tire.
do you want to show that quickly off?
And drop your fender back in. You can put your bolt through.
There she goes.
Your fender. And tighten it up. And then you want to, are we going to do that? You want to tighten up the...
No, it's fine.
And then you'll be able to pull your spacer out. It'll stay right where, after you tighten it up, it'll stay at that position. Make sure you got that gap, so you got a little bit of space between the tire and the fender in your lineup, and you should be good to go. If you have to move it a little bit side to side, there's a tiny little bit of movement to get your alignment. So just make sure you got that right before you tighten up the bolt, and that's it. It's pretty straightforward. as far as the install goes.